look at that, parenting magic. The reason I chose parenting magic for my company is because everything I learned and was sharing with other parents was magic to them when they could see the results when it was changing. But the other thing is, what we are parenting, the kids, they're magic. And we want to keep them that way. We want to give them everything that they can have that can bring out their potential. I was looking out of the kitchen window and I could see Eden, my youngest son, walking down the garden path, looking like he was under a cloud, face like thunder. He was not in a good mood, I could tell. I heard the door open and his bag get either thrown or kicked down the hall. He came into the kitchen, sat down and started what had been the usual rant about himself and about school. I hate that school. I can't do anything right. I'm useless. I can't learn. I was at a loss of what to do. He'd managed to get to mainstream school after being at a special needs school. He'd done really well at special needs school. And when he was 10 years old and he was making the choice to go to his secondary school, he decided that he wanted to go to an ordinary school, a mainstream school. So having me as a mother, I said, follow your heart, and encouraged him to do what he felt was right. It was a bit of a battle. It took a lot of persuading and convincing people that he could actually go to a mainstream school. And there was a lot of support put in place, and he did get there. It wasn't easy when he was there. He'd started at the age of 11 and he could barely read 3-letter words. He could barely spell 3-letter words. Eden had been diagnosed and labelled with Asperger's syndrome, ADHD, dyslexia, pragmatic and semantic language disorder, language delay, social and behavioural problems. You know what that's like, Tara. So we struggled. We really did struggle. I'd heard about NLP. And it might as well have stood for Nuovo Linguini Pasta, because I hadn't got a clue what it was. I then did learn that it stood for Neuro-Linguini Pasta. No, Neuro-Linguistic Programming. Now, I knew about the neuro part of it because my eldest son had actually had a brain hemorrhage, had an aneurysm, and he was under a neurosurgeon, so I got that bit. The neuro bit about the brain or the nervous system or the mind, got that. And linguistics, that's a huge area of communication, isn't it? It's not just words. It's behaviour, it's body language, it's actions. And the programming, whether we like it or not, we're programmed, we're conditioned, we're wired in a certain way. And that just comes from past experience. And the meaning that we put on things, the way we look at things, it comes from our values and our belief system. What was fantastic is that I was learning that you could change it. You could change this. There were ways you could put programs in place or strategies that would make a huge difference. I was excited by this. This was the start of a massive change. So in 2006, I became a master practitioner in NLP and hypnotherapy. And while I was away on my training, I was just so excited. I couldn't wait to get home. I wanted to share these techniques with Eden because I knew the difference they were going to make, especially the spelling strategy. I'd seen that demonstrated, and it was magic. So at an appropriate time, I asked Eden to come into the kitchen and sit down. I asked him to spell a word, and I cannot remember what that word was. It didn't matter. I just wanted to watch where his eyes were going to retrieve the information. I watched him spell, and instead of looking up where visual is to retrieve it, he was looking down in kinesthetics, the touchy-feely place. That wasn't going to help. So I said to Eden, give me a word you can't spell. He said, photosynthesis. I said, brilliant, neither can I. So we got index cards, and then I gave him a choice of coloured marker pens. I said, choose your favourite colour. He chose red. So on the cards, I then wrote PHOTOSYNTHESIS. Put them together. It spelt the word but they were in individual little cards. I took each one and put it up and held it to the left where his visual recall was. I told him to blink like that as though he was taking a picture. He was about 13 or 14 at the time. So he was doing that. P-H-O-T, O-S-Y, N-T-H-E, S-I-S. Then we put the cards down and I asked him to spell it, and he did. The first time. It was magic. It was just thrilling. He was thrilled. He was so excited. We did it again. We put it up, these 4 cards. Then I asked him to spell it backwards, and he did. Wow. He was just saying, this is exciting. This is so exciting. That was the start of him becoming an avid reader. And he felt so much more comfortable and confident at school. NLP had given me so many tools just to connect and to communicate on a much better level. I knew it was all about language as well, the way I asked for things, the way I talked to him. I was getting the results I wanted to see because guess what? I was the change. It was brilliant, it really was. And one of the amazing things that I learned was about the unconscious mind not being able to process negatives. Because your unconscious mind has to think of something that you don't want it to think of before you can not think of it. So right now, if I say to you, please don't think of an elephant, whatever you do, don't think of an elephant, you are going to think of it before you can not think of it. I was the mother of 3 teenagers. It was tough at first to flip it and just ask for what I did want. I had to really work at asking for what I did want them to do. Remember to do your homework, keep your keys safe. Stay sober, that didn't always work. It made a difference though. It started to make a huge difference. I was just so grateful that I'd actually learnt this stuff. When Eden had started secondary school in 2004, we were told that he wouldn't do GCSEs. He did actually do them, and he got 10. He then went on to college and he did a National Diploma in Applied Sciences, which was a 2-year full-time course. And on top of that, took a history A-level because he liked history. Now, he only managed a C in that and he really wanted a B. However, he knew he didn't work hard enough. So in September, he starts university. He's actually going to Trinity St. David's to study archaeology and ancient history. It's amazing. It truly is. And he is one of the most generous, caring, loving, well-balanced, rounded individuals I know. He is so loving. He's so compassionate. And I used to say to him when he was little, Eden, you make my heart glow. I still say it to him because he does. And I know there are so many children out there that could achieve more and more and more when they're in the right place with the right education. That's what I'm passionate about. I'm just so grateful that I found it. I'm so grateful that I found something that would actually break down the barriers that were boxing him in, that allowed him to find his potential. And something that Tara, you say, and I love it, is his unique brilliance, because he jumped out of that box and he soared. And the thing is, he's now continuing to reach other heights, and I just know that he's going to continue to do so. Thank you for listening.